So slowly it's becoming spring again, and now they could finally start to work a bit on the meadow here again. A bit of green is already there. Now what could be more fitting for spring than a brand that was once a familiar presence in Europe and is now finally making its grand and much anticipated return to us, fully battery electric, and doing so, in my opinion, with a truly brilliant, innovative, and impactful approach. I'm talking about the brand new Cadillac Lyriq, which we've been fortunate enough to get our hands on here in its most dynamic and sportiest version, ready to showcase its impressive capabilities. Cadillac is an iconic American manufacturer, acclaimed for creating high-quality, comfortable, and exceptionally powerful electric SUVs that make a bold impression on the road. And now let's take a closer look at how Cadillac and the Lyriq have successfully launched their first fully electric vehicle in the European market. That means we'll show you all the advantages, but also all the disadvantages, and there are a few, of the brand new Cadillac Lyriq, which you might want to know more details about before deciding to purchase such a vehicle for your own use. Today we're doing a classic review with an extensive driving report on our Mecklenburg test track, and then in a few days, a second video will follow, where we take it out on the highway, check the fuel consumption at average speeds of 100, 120, 140, and 160 kilometers per hour, and see if it can be the perfect travel companion for you. So we'll of course also include that in the charging test, checking the time it takes from 10 to 80%. I'd say we're not wasting any time. Take a quick moment to confirm whether you've already joined the Simple Electric community. We'd be absolutely thrilled if you could support us by subscribing. It's completely free for you, but helps us grow and keep moving forward, little by little. Now let's dive right in with the brand new Cadillac Lyriq. And as always, we'll begin by exploring the exterior, starting with a detailed look at the front design and its features. Let's take a look at the front end, and we're immediately greeted by a completely new and striking design language. And I have to say, Cadillac has truly accomplished something remarkable here. Just as perhaps English vehicles or even Swedish vehicles have successfully managed to achieve, always managing to express their design in a pleasantly unique and distinctive way, so to speak. Yes, in America, even the front grille is carefully and thoughtfully illuminated for added impact. I find it a bit disappointing that in Europe, and especially in Germany, we're somewhat restricted by the outdated regulations, because that would obviously make for a completely different and striking visual presence at night with the Cadillac Lyriq. Here we have a purely battery electric designed vehicle with all-wheel drive. Plenty of power. That means 388 kilowatts, 528 horsepower, and over 600 newton meters of torque ensure propulsion. Just like here, the stunning LED headlights along with the LED daytime running lights, which of course also ensure visibility in the evening, to deliver the best lighting, shall we say. Yes, we have it in a fantastic sporty setup. It's available as a luxury version, then with an abundance of chrome, but we're more the performance-focused type, you know what I mean? Who are completely into that sleek, glossy black look, and that's why we said, hey, Cadillac, hook us up with the Sport Edition. If you're interested in checking out the luxury variant, we actually filmed a video about it roughly 4 or 5 months ago. There you can see the luxury variant. The vehicle also distinguishes itself in the wheel design. Here we have this stunning sport design rim with its multi-spoke style, perfectly paired with high-performance winter tires from the renowned brand Continental. Did you see the dimensions, Stefan? Yes, 275 by 45 on a 21-inch wheel size, correct? These are, of course, big, fat tires here, perfectly complemented by sleek black brake calipers. And what's written there? Cadillac, probably, right? Yeah, that must be their own in-house production. A mischief maker who thinks evil. Yes, here we have a stunning red metallic finish. Naturally, it's also available in more subtle tones, like black, gray, white, and even a striking mid-blue metallic option. Such an ocean blue also looks absolutely stunning. And in the Sport Edition, you'll find sleek black accents all around the window frames, on the exterior mirrors, and running along the sills and wheel arches for a bold finish. So it truly comes across as incredibly sporty and dynamic. We've got a coupe here, P-like lines with a sharply sloping roofline, but I can already reveal this to you. Behind it lies an absolutely massive and enormous trunk space. We'll take a closer look at that later. What also can't be missing in a Cadillac is, of course, a big, bold shark fin. I find it really annoying. They could have integrated it much more elegantly into the window frame design, or perhaps the side mirror itself. And then they thought, hey, why not design an aerodynamic mirror instead, you know? Euler, look, Stefan, you can actually see right through it. That's where the air passes through right here. That's brilliant. Then we've got the third brake light here, very nicely done. It sort of reminds me of that specific warning light you see in Formula 1, you know what I'm saying? Right? Exactly what we've... Is Cadillac an F1 yet? Not yet, right? But they're coming soon, yeah?
Mhm.
So Cadillac is really stepping on the gas too, which I think is cool. And then of course we have the rear end here. If you could just step back a bit with the camera, you really need to capture it from a wider angle to let it shine. And here again, a truly brilliant design line, where we let the lighting sort of cascade over in this seamless, elegant way. Then we have a nice separation edge here again. That means we could also set up a nice little burger bar here, maybe during the loading break. I think that's brilliant too. And here at the back, we've got this sleek rear light design, again with top-notch LED tech, perfectly matching the overall look, always matching the exterior color, and, in the sport package, with the glossy black finish. So I've got to admit, that's quite a striking entrance, isn't it? Surely successful, no doubt. Let's talk about the dimensions. We're discussing an electric SUV, which measures just over 5 meters in total length. In length, with a height of 1.62 meters, I think that's decent. I'm 1.85 meters tall, and because it's nice and low for an SUV. There are some out there that are even over 1.70 meters tall. That also fits perfectly with its coupe-like silhouette. It's 1.92 meters wide, and with the side mirrors, it's even 2.20 meters in total. Its wheelbase stretches to 3.09 meters, where the 400-volt battery pack is strategically positioned between the axles. With a solid 106 kilowatt-hours gross, of which you can utilize 102 kilowatt-hours net. It's powered by 2 electric motors on each drive axle, front and rear, which together deliver 388 kilowatts, or 526 horsepower of performance. 609 newton meters of torque we have, and it's supposed to go from 0 to 100 in 5.2 seconds. We'll of course verify that with GPS measurements later, together with you in the driving review. The top speed is 210 kilometers per hour. We'll of course verify that in the second video during the efficiency drive and the charging check. Yes, it's a side loader. Here on the driver's side, we have the AC connection for alternating current charging, capable of up to 22 kilowatts, included as standard. It's really awesome. We've been testing it for a few days now, and you can go from completely empty to fully charged in a solid 5 hours. And yeah, DC, it's supposed to be really fast. We'll definitely figure that out for you during the consumption test and charge check. With up to 190 kilowatts, which it's designed to sustain at 165 kilowatts consistently. That's also fantastic because this way, it's expected to charge from 10 to 80% in under 30 minutes, which is impressive. Those are of course also excellent numbers for you, especially if you're planning to take it on longer journeys or road trips. And whether it also has efficient consumption, we'll find out together then. In the second video accordingly, we're really excited to dive in and take a closer, detailed look together with you right under that front hood. There are hood fans, there's insulation, but unfortunately there's no frunk. I could imagine that under this cover, there might have been some storage space, at least for an emergency Schuko set, and potentially even a Type 2 charging cable. What I would have wished for, so that you wouldn't have to deal with it in nasty weather. Today we've got beautiful sunshine and a bright blue sky with just a few clouds. If it's ever dreary and wet outside, you'd naturally want to store your charging equipment separately from the trunk, maybe to avoid mixing it with the rest of your clean luggage and keeping things organized. Alright, let's take a listen to what the American hood sounds like. 3, 2, 1, let's hear it now. Done. What I incidentally forgot to mention is that of course with this huge battery there's also a proper rumble. It weighs around 2.77 tons empty and has a payload capacity of only about 500 kilograms, so we basically need to decide right now whether, when we take a look in the trunk in just a moment, we're going to load it up with luggage and other items, or if we're going to fill it with passengers instead, because trying to do both together might end up getting a bit too tight, right? That'll get a bit tight with the overall mass, yeah. First, we need to check how to access the trunk. I forgot to mention earlier, it has no rear wiper. For all fans of the refined rear wiper sport, and the opening button is integrated here in the Cadillac logo, which I think is absolutely awesome. This flap lifts up, and we have a nice flat area where we can lay a jacket or coat, do whatever we need to here, and then pack things away in the back. You get 793 liters of trunk space, so it can fit quite a bit. And if that's not enough for you, underneath here you also have some great additional storage space, perfect for keeping smaller items organized and out of sight. It's a really thoughtful design that maximizes practicality and convenience. We've also thrown in a few things here like the charging cable, and that's exactly what I mean. We don't have like a dedicated compartment or any specific way to store the charging cable again in the trunk. That means we don't have one in the front either, and we always have to figure out where to put the charging cable when we're loading the trunk, because the luggage is basically on the hatch, and then we can't access the hatch again. Just saying this for the folks who always say, yeah, I don't need a frunk, What would I even use it for? I've never used it. Yeah, of course, if you don't use it, then you obviously don't need it. But we actually like using it on a regular basis. It's pretty handy, don't you think? At least for the charging cable or occasionally workout clothes. I'm always super active and on the move when I'm out there with you guys. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yes, what's great here is we also have a 12-volt socket again. It might be of interest to some of you, for example, to run a portable cooler box. And here we definitely have the left spring pre-tensioned, electrically operated, then 60%. Okay, foldable on the driver's side, and here once more, by pressing the button, it's also pre-tensioned, then the right side with the remaining 40%. What I'm missing is some kind of pass-through or opening designed for skis or a longer object. Yeah, there isn't one, it's just a tray. They'd fit lengthwise though. And that really would have been essential because I can imagine some of you, especially in southern Germany, would love to take the Lyriq up into the mountains to enjoy a bit of a ski vacation. I also didn't find any roof load capacity. And so it probably also becomes unnecessary for me to pack the skis onto the roof rack. But where do I put the skis then? Well, I don't know. Well, okay, not everything goes wrong with you guys. Otherwise, everything is high quality, completely lined with premium carpet throughout. Here too, there's a nicely beveled edge, just in case you accidentally happen to bump into it with the crate or something like that. Up here though, it's a bit harder plastic. But as many of you often say, who really cares how the tailgate is trimmed? It opens electrically, which is what matters. Power's shut. So it should definitely be that way, no doubt about it at all. And you even get an optional beveled edge. Tow bar, Stefan? Yes, it's $750 for one that's unbraked. And with brakes? Yes, that's also such an impressive figure. 1,586 kilos. I wonder how they determined it's exactly that number of kilos. So 1,586 kilos on a 12% gradient, unbraked. Alright, so it didn't quite reach 1.6 tons then. Probably not. Yeah, but you'll also get a lot thrown at you there, maybe even a trailer or something. Then for garden waste, they'll probably take at least a small sports boat, maybe even a horse, as long as it's not the heaviest one. Or 2 ponies. Yes, there are also delicate horses, and what he might certainly manage to pull is a caravan trailer, for sure. There are now also lightweight versions, specifically designed for electric. That could definitely be another topic. Ever slept in one of those caravans? It's been quite a while, but yeah, I have. Yeah, that would actually be quite an interesting story, like going on a camping road trip with an electric car and a range extender attached to the back. Then I might have gone to a music fest or so. Yeah, cool idea, but I'll tell you straight up. I'm not unhooking it here just to charge or anything like that. So yeah, I'm definitely the wrong person to ask about that. But like I said, feel free to drop your thoughts on the Cadillac Lyriq's exterior design, including the missing front and trunk space, in the comments section below. We've already shown you the exterior, so now let's move inside and take a closer look at the windows. So it actually comes standard with double glazing, meaning 2 panes connected with a film. Built right into it. Yes, let's go ahead and take a closer look at the door panel design. Did Cadillac deliver something truly premium here? Take a look. It's wide, soft, and comfortably cushioned, ideal for those who value elbow support. A thoughtful and well-crafted design feature. Who might want to place it on the door ledge? Then we have a beautiful wood grain paired with the electric seat adjustment, massage function, and then you can choose to heat just the backrest, or both the backrest and the seat cushion, like I often do. And in the summer, you even have seat ventilation, which is perfect for those warmer days. You also get the memory function for 2 seating positions, so you can save your preferred settings with ease. And the best part? All of this comes standard, making it a truly luxurious experience right out of the box. Here we have a small holder for the fries. Everything is beautifully fitted here with the finest Nappa leather. That means you'll receive a Nappa leather interior in both black and beige, but that's an extra $3,000. And here, beautifully integrated, mechanically. The door handle I think is superbly crafted, instead of all that constant fiddling and adjusting around. Super brilliant. Then we have a bit of piano lacquer here. You know, it's not really my style or preference. Window adjustment on the mirror. Window controls, mirrors reversed, central locking. I think it's really well done. You've got the AKG sound system, which we've already explained. Stefan will check later what it means. I forgot it, unfortunately. And then unfortunately you have, up here there's also this little compartment. You could probably maybe slip an umbrella or something else in there. That's what I thought. A compact one. Perfect. Yeah, down here it's again a nice kind of plastic that's not intensely underfoamed or anything like that, you know. But still, feels solid, and in here, how do you always put it so nicely? Yes, that's not so nice, and here it rustles and rattles too, right? Yeah, you can really hear it quite clearly, can't you?
Ja,
We figured it out now.
es klappert.
Once say it doesn't rattle or clatter, and then you also have a button to open the trunk. Welcome back once again to the interior of the Cadillac Lyriq. And here Cadillac has, in my opinion, come up with a nice material mix. Let's stay chronological. First of all, I'm really missing a head-up display here, and for a 5-meter premium electric SUV, that's practically a standard feature in my view. I'm not entirely sure why Cadillac chose to leave it out. Maybe it's because they've installed this large 33-inch seamless curved display down here, which is mounted in a very sleek, almost floating style, enhancing the premium and modern feel of the interior. And where you might think, well, it's just a brief viewing angle, so a head-up display doesn't really seem worth the effort. But for the enthusiasts, for the head-up sports fans, they'll definitely miss it, I think. On the left, we have the indicator lever where we also control the wipers. On the right, we have the gear selector. Everything very premium, very well done. Then here, with the finest Napa leather all the way to the shift button, let's see if it works. Then we have the multi-function steering wheel, where we have solid buttons and toggles that you can operate very, very easily in everyday use. Again, here we have this piano lacquer finish in the center, and it's unfortunately quite prone to scratches, dust, and stains with regular use over time. As you can see, there's this kind of patina in between. Yeah, I just don't think that's so nice. In terms of height and distance, you can of course adjust the steering wheel electrically, and here at the front, there are infrared cameras installed, which essentially monitor your eyes and determine whether you're distracted or not at the moment. Do you already recognize everything from other tested vehicles? Yes, what I find really good and high quality here is the adjustment of the ventilation. Here it's nicely done with a rotating knob that you can use to control it. Very, very high quality, right? Yeah, it's good and really simple. Here we have a nice control unit again, specifically tailored for the air conditioning system. This is indeed important for some of you, where you can quickly adjust it to be warmer or colder. Or of course also supply certain areas accordingly. With airflow, what's a highlight for me is the infotainment display. We have Google Automotive as the operating system here, which I think is absolutely brilliant, because you get the best Google Maps navigation combined with excellent charging planning. You can also set up various things yourself when looking for charging stations, and you have great filter options here that you can use. Plus, it's incredibly intuitive, so you don't have to spend ages figuring it out. It's all right there at your fingertips, making the whole experience seamless and user-friendly. Down to filter options for specific charging providers, allowing you to fully customize and optimize your charging experience seamlessly. This is important for some of you because you might say, hey, I've got some kind of deal with, say, Allego or Ionity or EMWW, and I can maybe charge there at a lower rate or with a discount. The menu structure is kept simple. I find it very modern in this tile layout, like a sleek, streamlined design. The passive black and white look is very, very pleasing to me. Of course, you have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto on board. I now have an American smartphone, which allows me to switch to CarPlay very, very easily here. The criticism here is that essentially I only have this section displayed on the screen. And naturally, I would wish that Cadillac somehow influences Apple. That you have the complete display across the entire space here. It looks a little too small, yeah. So choppy, you know? You can't always have everything in life, you know? Otherwise, you've got the good old Google Voice Assistant, of course. You've got the Play Store, where you have the option to always keep your car up to date with the latest features and improvements, you know? Always the latest apps like YouTube Music, Amazon Music, Audible. So you can effortlessly and seamlessly integrate a variety of features and services directly into your vehicle, you know? That's super cool and totally future-proof, allowing you to keep everything updated effortlessly through the Play Store. Then get the latest apps seamlessly integrated into the car, as long as they're available and compatible. What I really like is this drawer here, which is also very nicely lined. I think it's Napa leather, where you can then store a few more items neatly and conveniently. Then you have this floating center console here, which I also really like, with volume up and down, a rotary knob, where you also have quick access functions, allowing you to control the touchscreen with the rotary knob. There are still some of you who really enjoy that. Then we have here big cups, you know, also nicely finished here, with a stylish chrome ring around the edge. You can also divide it in the middle again, where you'll have plenty of space to store some of the clutter and keep all your items neatly organized and easily accessible for use. Yeah, then we have this compartment here for the inductive charging pad, I believe it was. Yes, just plugged in here, yes, doesn't distract from driving, of course. It also appears like it might even be slightly ventilated or something. It's so cool in there. Yes, that's good. I don't know, well, yes, I find it a bit suboptimal, to be honest, if I'm being real. And then we've conveniently got USB-C here and a 12-volt socket. And we've lined everything here with felt, which creates a great space where we can conveniently store a few items or accessories whenever they're needed. Yeah, and up here, what's this? Is that another one? That's another USB-C port, right? So you've got plenty of options here to charge your equipment, and this center console offers even more convenience and space, featuring fine Napa leather. That's really nice. I get many prefer animal-free spaces. It's understandable. Animal welfare is also very, very close to my heart, you know. But there are manufacturers like Volvo, for instance. Maybe you've even seen the XC90 video, who then have specific animal breeding practices where the animals live as well as possible, until, so to speak, their leather is further processed for the cars. And then you can probably also indulge in that supple leather with a much clearer conscience, right? It's right. The view through the passenger door truly highlights, in a very clear and impressive manner, how much Cadillac prioritizes the ergonomics here, particularly for the driver's comfort. That means with armrests of the same height, along with the adjustment of the steering wheel. You can tell that Cadillac is a very experienced car manufacturer. Here we can once again see very, very clearly this generous center console. These are the advantages of electric mobility, allowing us to make the most of it. At the bottom we have this very, very nice brushed aluminum, with the USB-C port, and then we have this insert again made of a kind of faux leather in a Bordeaux tone. It's super elegant, so it doesn't rustle or rattle. Here as well, a nice, soft, high-quality plastic material has been carefully selected. And here you can see these floating elements again. Honestly, I have to say, Cadillac's got it going on. Yeah, it's good that it's open at the top. If it only had a bottom flap, you'd constantly have to reach around it awkwardly. Always a bit of a hassle, really. Absolutely. Yeah, what was naturally also included on board are these fine, luxurious Napa leather seats. They're naturally perforated, as we've already discussed, with heating, ventilation, and seat massage, and it's truly elegant, the massage feature. So I absolutely recommend the extra cost of $3,000 for the Napa leather seats. I think it's worth the investment, especially paired with that matching comfort headrest. Everything is really top-notch and well-crafted. Perhaps they could have considered adding a seat extension here in the thigh area for people with extremely long legs. But this is perfectly fine as it is. We don't have particularly sporty seats here, so a bit more thigh support could reasonably have been expected with 526 horsepower under the hood. And maybe here again in the lower back. But they still appear to be very comfortable. Yeah, they've got that lounging vibe going. Yeah, that's already a nice, comfy session. Yes, so now we've got the glove compartment right here. Just take a look. With a simple button press in the infotainment system, once again showcasing the finest, lined with the finest velvet here. Also super luxurious. Down here, a high-quality plastic. Look how beautifully it's textured. And here, Napa leather again. And this is all nicer, softer plastic here. Really well crafted, but I have to be honest, it doesn't always need leather. On the dashboard, though, I do think it's pretty cool. But a high-quality plastic is also enough. Yes, the only place where Cadillac really cut costs, as I can see again here, is this hard plastic there, right? At the door entry, right? At least with this Cadillac trim there. That's still quite nice. What I'm missing, by the way, is maybe... But that's just me. It's my personal opinion. I'm a bit of a geek. I would have liked an Alcantara headliner, right? You know, here we've got this premium material that's really soft, just in there. And what actually doesn't work at all, even though it's really awesome here with the beige belts perfectly matching the beige seats. It's just a bit dated, isn't it? We've even got a viewer here who hasn't experienced any rattling noises in 34 years. By the way, I'm still inviting you to the Parc Hotel Façannerie in Neustrelitz to come and rattle around with me there for a bit sometime. With us, it rattles. I should have just gone with a different material instead. It might not be possible to completely avoid the rattling after all, but you can dampen it to the point where when you're listening to the radio or music, you don't really hear the rattling. And honestly, the car starts at 79,000 euros. Then you have the option to go for the raw version. That's about 1,950 euros. Napa leather, 3 kilos. Glass roof, 2 extra. The trailer hitch is at 270,000, so in the end, you're investing, with and without the hitch, around $87,000 to $89,000 for a fully equipped Cadillac. And with that, you're actually doing well price-wise compared to many competitors, because, by the way, they start at 766 euros in leasing, but you naturally expect it to be as flawless and problem-free as possible. Let's do the seat test. I'm 1.85 meters tall, Bambi-like, 99.9 kilograms, 9 kilos heavy, and I can get into the Cadillac Lyriq very, very comfortably without any issues. Definitely looks comfy. Ah, starry sky. Yeah, awesome, right? Check the glass roof. So cool, huh? Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, back here I'm sitting like an Abraham Scoof. That means the TV armchair quality from the front has been duplicated in the back as well. Perhaps the rear bench could have been angled back a little bit further to enhance overall comfort. That might make it even more comfortable. It's built a bit flat, but maybe that's also a matter of personal taste and preference for some. What really doesn't work, by the way, is Cadillac. What really doesn't work is that my elbow keeps getting stuck in this cup holder right here. But it's perfectly fitting, as if made for it. Yes, so I wish I had such a nice center armrest. I practically have to put my elbow back like this. It just doesn't feel ergonomically cool to me, especially since the armrest on the door doesn't extend all the way to the back. So I actually have to sit slightly tilted, kind of slumped in, as we say nicely in German. Well, never mind. You can actually evaluate how you feel about these middle armrests. I don't like them. I have enough space, my feet fit under the seat, and there's a fist's width to the front seat, which generously adjusted towards the B-pillar so that someone can still sit comfortably in the front. And here again, take a look.
Ja, schön beschlagen.
It all looks so... I'm not sure if it's real or synthetic leather, with stitching here too. It's just really high quality. Down here with a thick carpet. Then we've got a nice compartment here where we can fit quite a bit of stuff. Also very, very well done. And then we've got two USB-C ports here. Then we've got a 230-volt socket here. But that looks like it's an American socket. A chocolate adapter exists. There's an adapter for... An adapter? I'm in Germany. Yes, an adapter for a chocolate socket. Yes, well, €4. Why doesn't Cadillac simply include a Schuko socket when shipping to Europe? You could do that, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, right? The seat heating comes in 3 levels, adjustable in the back as well. Then we have the third climate zone, which you can adjust accordingly here. You've got the air vents right here to ventilate yourself either directly or indirectly. Yeah, this is hard plastic again. Not great, right? Yeah, what I think is missing here is maybe some more ventilation nozzles in the B-pillar, because especially in the most high-end vehicles, manufacturers usually go for that extra touch. Yes, it's in there, that's right. What we definitely have here up top, look, these handles. So Muddy can easily get in and out when she's sitting in the back. Good, but why is it, as I see it, that my front passenger is on the A-pillar? He's not that tall, so I don't need to hoist myself in. Well, I don't know. You'll have to ask Cadillac, that's always the question. There's some kind of hook here for it, I think. Maybe for attaching something. Jacket or blazer, it's really well made. But take a look here. So here Cadillac once again uses the toughest plastic. It's meant to fold. You can still tuck the scarf in here. That might actually make sense. Then it won't rattle. Let's go ahead and do that right away. We'll drive over cobblestones later. Hopefully we're not doing this now just to hear it start rattling. So our colleague doesn't say that after 34 years he doesn't hear a rattle. No, of course we'll do it, the belts. But honestly, I think that's handled a bit too simply, don't you agree? What's your personal take on it? Yeah, they could have easily fogged it up too, especially since I can clearly see the back of the seats, which are also fogged. ISOFIX is here on both driver and passenger seats, ideal for child seats. And then you can, adjust the backrest in several different positions, like fully upright, as you can see here now, or into a reclined position in 2 stages, okay? It might also be quite nice if you want to sit a bit more upright, but the headrests in the back are also a bit Mickey Mouse. Look, so cute, right? Cute it's not. Look, in the middle, where no one sits, this thick thing. There could have been a tiny spot here because then you could have nicely extended this thing with the cup holder and not have your elbow in the cup holder. Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe adding a hatch here for something long like skis would have been absolutely perfect for this space. So Cadillac, maybe for the model update, if you're watching this video, you might get an idea of going electric, how to make it a bit more optimal, efficient, and functional in the long run. What's actually optimally designed, and I think it's really cool, is that the rear door trim is essentially similar in quality to the front door trim, which adds a nice touch. This is also a very high-quality, beautiful material mix again. We've shown you everything on the outside, we've shown you everything on the inside. Let's shift our attention to the driving experience. We're now ready to feel the impressive power of the Cadillac Lyriq's over 500 horsepower together with you. And as always, we start with the turning radius. This is always important for you in urban environments. here, with the 5-meter SUV, we're actually dealing with a turning radius of 12.10 meters. That still seems excessive, especially since modern rear steering systems are available, which unfortunately are missing in the Cadillac Lyriq, to potentially reduce the turning radius by an additional full meter. And you can definitely feel that when driving through urban areas. It's just that the car has a noticeably and significantly substantial length. And that's where I'd really like to see a tighter turning radius, especially with the ever-growing and increasingly dense traffic in big cities. Especially in urban environments, it's absolutely crucial to have the ability to comfortably and smoothly maneuver into tighter parking spaces without any hassle. And to that end, we're going to test out how the assistance systems in the vehicle perform here. That means, of course, we also have the corresponding camera support here, standard as a full 360-degree camera system on board. But I think it's not the highest resolution camera out there on the market right now, you know? We've seen much better, and somehow more of the screen area could have been utilized, I believe, to offer a clearer and better overview. Yes. You've got the option to switch back to an all-around view or to the side, making sure your stylish rims stay protected and free from any damage. Then you have this trailer hitch perspective, where you can look almost vertically down at it, giving you a clear and direct view of the setup. Then we have, so to speak, the standard here as before, and then we also have the option here to do it like this. Focal points to use the car, essentially like a bird's eye view, and then to look at it plus, of course, the corresponding setting options for the guiding lines. The same thing, but then also with the front camera, where you get another all-around view, allowing you to see everything clearly and adjust as needed for a complete, detailed, and comprehensive perspective. You could have that top view, or of course take another look at the front wheels, which is always crucial for proper alignment and overall control. There are people who don't know, when they turn the steering wheel, how they're going to get out. And that could naturally be quite helpful for some of you out there, perhaps even more than you'd initially imagine or expect. Yes, we're going to make use of the cobblestones right here, and listen carefully for any rustling or rattling sounds. Yes, rustling and rattling here, yes. But then you hear a door slamming shut loudly. Yeah, I told you so. Well, and then we've got this nice pothole over here, where we can observe how it handles the impact. Yeah, it does okay, firm yet comfortable. And now we're about to start on our test track because we want to see, we've got this American-style rocking horse here, as we're so familiar with from many Americans. Or has Cadillac firmly decided, no, that's just not something we can sell in Europe? Let's keep it nice and tight, comfortable. We've now arrived at our winding and dynamic test track right over here. And now we're going to push this Lyriq, with its solid 2.7 tons of curb weight, through the course with some force. And he's already handled the first curve quite smoothly. Now we're approaching a nice, long right-hand curve, maintaining a steady flow and momentum. Yes, he's handling it well. It's also, as I see it, nicely firm and comfortably sprung, I'd say. The Transporter did cut the corner a bit nicely. It's also quite nice, isn't it? But what I'm kind of missing here is a bit more of that directness in the steering response. Now let's take another left-right combination. I'm hoping it'll be better. Nope, unfortunately, it won't. Then comes the Suzuka S again, where we'll head back up here. The suspension I find top-notch. The steering, though, needs significant improvement. It almost feels like the car. Or the steering reacts with a noticeable delay, roughly half a second after you've already turned the steering wheel. Yeah, especially when you need to make quick maneuvers like swerving for a cat, a toddler, or something similar. It can definitely become dangerous. Yeah, or like the other day when you said, hey, we need to go right here, and I just didn't really think about it. No one was behind us, we slowed a bit, turned right quickly. You know, like when you have those spontaneous moments. He just tends to be a bit sluggish and rather slow-moving. Yeah, sure. We're continuing along the test track. Here we have this really nasty right-hand curve, where we go from the height down into the dip, and the 2.7 tons really press down. Then it sharply turns to the right, and you can feel it pushing nicely over the left front wheel. Again, we're noticing that slight steering delay in there. Yeah, like I said, I think Cadillac still needs to improve the steering. It's somehow just not quite there yet. Now let's discuss this. Look, switching to Sport boosts responsiveness for a better drive. It provides more power and more stable handling. We'll test that right away with the curve back there. It stays activated the next time you start the vehicle. So I've switched to Sport mode, engaged the auto hold function, since we don't have launch mode, and let's see how it performs. If it can accelerate those 388 kilowatts properly. Stefan, give me a countdown. Go. 2, 1, go. And there he goes, pushing forward the well over 2.7 tons. 50, 70, 90, 100, and we're doing the brake check. Really slamming hard on the brakes now, and there it comes to a full stop. Wow, came to a stop really smoothly and impressively. And now let's check out what the Draghi GPS has recorded for us. Alright, we've got 0 to 50 in 2.76, 0 to 60 in 380 seconds, 3.33, 0 to 100 in 5.9. The factory claim is 5.2, yeah, and 100 to 0, 2.87. Yeah, but that's top tier, right? When it comes to braking, I believe this is our first vehicle to go under 3 seconds, especially considering the weight. Come on, let's go for it. It's 100 here. Then let's push a test car now. Take this thing through the curve nicely at 100. The steering's still not better. It lifts a bit, bounces out slightly. We're now heading into the left curve over this bump here, nicely handling it with its 2.7-ton curb weight. But he handled it well, didn't he? It holds up except for the steering. Cadillac, I don't know what you were thinking with this steering, but that kind of takes away from the overall performance a little bit. You know what I mean? I know most of you would probably be cruising around with that thing like it's some sort of boss chair, all Prayer Brothers style, just casually rolling through the streets. But with over 500 horsepower, you'd absolutely want to feel that thrill for a bit, right? With all that power, why not use it? So you're not just gonna sit here doing nothing? You really wanna step on it and speed things up a bit, right? Put the hebel on the table like you always say. Yes. What is definitely much more spontaneous in sport mode compared to touring mode is the throttle responsiveness. It's really fun because in touring mode you're always thinking, wow, it takes a moment of hesitation before it accelerates. And in sport mode it doesn't do that. It just accelerates beautifully, pushing a bit over the front axle as we're giving it some serious power today and going over this bump here, really feeling the responsiveness. Yeah, the steering, it kind of carries him a bit outward, where he somehow can't avoid showing off his 2.77 tons of curb weight, even though he tries to handle it smoothly. But what Cadillac has managed to achieve, as we just noticed at the dip, is that it features a nice, firm, yet surprisingly comfortable suspension system. And then we want to really accelerate through this entire curve. Yes, ride the wave spring, it's so much fun, huh? Yeah. But I'm telling you, the weight really pushes through. So it's definitely struggling with the suspension here, particularly due to its own hefty weight. We want to measure the interior noise with you at 50 kilometers per hour. 55, 56 decibels. That's very, very quiet. We're accelerating to 70. 61 to 63 decibels. That's also a top value. We're accelerating through to 100. 65, 67 decibels. So you really feel that Cadillac on one hand does an excellent job with noise cancelling through its advanced sound system, and on the other hand, the car is also remarkably well insulated for a smooth and quiet ride. We also notice it in the passing traffic, that it has a noticeably reduced impact on us, far quieter than what we've typically experienced in other vehicles. Let's move on, Stefan. Now's the perfect time to take a closer look at the assistance system and its real-time performance. We have on board, as you know, an adaptive cruise control system, a steering assistant, and a lane-keeping assistant, which I must say, actually performs quite decently and handles things pretty smoothly. What's pretty neat is that whenever it detects potential hazards, which, by the way, you can adjust, it vibrates just like it's doing now in the seat, giving you a clear warning signal. But look, it's not going to the right. Look, look, look.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, this isn't good. Why isn't it good? Because other vehicles costing half the price can handle it much more effectively and smoothly. Exactly, yes. And what's also not ideal, and we should be upfront about this, Cadillac can drive fully autonomously in America, much like Tesla, but it seems they haven't managed to secure approval in Europe just yet to transfer that in principle to the German vehicles at the moment, as it currently stands right now, without any changes. I certainly hope that something like this can be resolved later via software and retroactively implemented, but we haven't really received a clear commitment or confirmation on that yet, have we? Not yet, but it would still be really nice. And what I'm really missing here is that predictive control feature, so that we can basically automatically adjust our driving speed to match the road signs as we continue moving forward along the route as intended. We also lack an adaptive solution to transfer the speed into cruise control. So actually we have, if you will, better cruise control with a bit of lane keeping. Yeah, and at that price, it just can't be it. No, look, he's about to crash right into the Renault here.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cadillac. But this is really, I think, not fitting for such a car, and it's probably aimed with a €766 monthly leasing rate more at business people, at individuals, who regularly drive long distances. So for me, it might actually be pretty challenging if I were regularly out in the field and on the highway. Then, of course, a semi-autonomous assist would be worth its weight in gold, especially since we all get distracted sometimes, maybe by a call or still stuck in the last conversation, or an email that's buzzing around in your head. That's where partial autonomy support is pretty nice. We're really excited to test out the sound system here with you today, and yes, we'll be checking it all out via the Apple CarPlay interface for this quick little demo. Sounds pretty decent already, right? Nice bass, really pleasant. Especially the high frequencies are nice. AKG, Stefan? Did you look up what AKG is? Essentially, it falls under the Harman division, which is part of the broader Samsung Group structure overall. Ah, yes, so it's actually already a brand. Harman Kardon is someone it affects, I think. Accordingly, yes. Blah, 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 blah. What I find quite clever about Cadillac is that they didn't waste time attempting to create their own operating system from scratch. Instead, they've essentially turned to trusted industry experts. Zrenia, like Google Automotive, to essentially control certain things, like Google Assistant, for example. And here we want to say, hey Google dot. Take us to Munich, Viktualienmarkt 1. Google Viktualienmarkt 1, Munich. Hey Google, period. Navigate us to Munich to Viktualienmarkt 1. Could you kindly provide us with directions and navigate to the Viktualienmarkt located in Munich, please? What this means is, you can see here very, very clearly just how quickly it then plans the corresponding route. Essentially, it also includes charging stops. I haven't made any specific selection of charging stations. And you can see that it's also very quickly and efficiently established the charging plan in a well-organized and structured manner here. And you can also see it clearly in the overview, how you could essentially and comfortably travel to Munich by utilizing alternative routes along the way. You can clearly see the exact battery charge level you'll arrive with at each charging station and what you would essentially need to do there accordingly, step by step, to ensure a smooth and hassle-free journey. So this is, I believe, one of the most advanced and sensible solutions out there that we currently have. And yeah, Google Maps is already quite exemplary when it comes to traffic, setting a high standard for others to follow. So therefore, I think you've got a really solid system here in the Cadillac on board, which significantly simplifies and enhances your overall travel experience. Let's dive into the travel comfort here, whether you're navigating through the cities or exploring the countryside. We'll tackle the Autobahn in the second video, including the consumption test and the charging check. To ensure a fair and honest comparison between the cars, we naturally dedicated a considerable amount of time searching for a method that would bring transparency and thoroughness into the entire testing process. And there, we ultimately discovered the ideal solution in Stefan's popometer. So, Stefan, how's the popometer performing in the Lyriq today? And what's the detailed evaluation look like? Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I already suspected that these little chairs would be very comfortable. That has really proven to be true. So from a sitting perspective, super comfortable. I also think it's nice that you can essentially heat the bridge and the seats separately here. Sometimes just my back getting warmer is enough. My bottom's not that crucial then. Otherwise, as I mentioned earlier, the seats are really comfortable. The side support is decent, but I feel like the thigh support on the sides could have been a bit more generous and improved. Because when this one is going a bit performance-oriented through the road, it does tend to throw itself around a bit, especially with slippery pants. But the chassis, on the other hand, I actually find it very pleasant, nice and firm yet comfortable. It handles potholes really well. Yeah, it's actually really great overall. Yes, I can only agree with that. The ride comfort is truly exceptional for a vehicle in this particular class. It's just the unfortunately not so direct steering that really bothers me a lot. And especially when we're driving a bit back and forth here in the village, we really notice it. It's just not as precise as I'd like. That although it's nicely firm and hardly makes any swaying movements, it always turns in with a bit of a delay, which is quite noticeable. And I have to say, I'm not used to that in everyday life on one hand. And on the other hand, I also don't want it in everyday life, because I want to go where I steer, and I want it to be immediate, not delayed in any way. And with that, let's move on to the interim conclusion with the Cadillac Lyriq, because we'll then continue in the second video with the efficiency test and the charging check, where you'll get our final verdict on this vehicle. Yes, a fantastic start with the design, both inside and outside, truly impressive. A beautiful, high-quality material mix paired with a good infotainment system here with Google Automotive. But the weaknesses truly become apparent, in my view, in two significant areas that stand out quite noticeably. One is the steering, because I'm doing that constantly, and I want to be able to steer well. That bothers me. And in the second area, Zrenia, what bothers me is the lack of semi-autonomous assistance, because in a vehicle like this, with a test car price of over 86,000 euros, I would expect it to have a decent steering assistant, a proper lane-keeping assistant, a reliable adaptive cruise control system, and a traffic sign recognition that at least adapts and adjusts accordingly. Ideally, it should also be predictive looking ahead. So I'm already driving at the appropriate speed when I reach the sign. Cadillac absolutely needs to step up their game in Europe as well, because otherwise, I believe it's going to be quite challenging to convince people in this price segment to choose a Cadillac for long-distance driving experiences. Plenty of space, comfy seats, great suspension, except for the steering, a spacious trunk, and highly versatile folding seats. Trailer hitch, that's actually all good. Although the big competitors already have over 2 tons of towing capacity, like the Kia EV9, the BMW iX, the Mercedes EQE, so they're clearly ahead in towing capacity. Could it go up another notch, or? Yes, sure. We haven't found great roof load capacity, but I think it's also challenging to mount up here. So that little bit of tongue weight and a pass-through for long items would be nice, like skis, or at least being able to fold down another 20% in the center would be cool, and this center armrest in the back. I expect a car like this to comfortably accommodate 4 people, so having a center armrest shouldn't even be something we need to discuss at this point. And with that, we've officially wrapped up today's video. Make your way to the closest Cadillac dealership, take this fantastic electric SUV for a test drive, and see for yourself just how impressive it really is. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Please check again if you're part of the einfach elektrisch community. We'd be delighted if you supported us with your subscription, and that of course really helps us grow further. I say a heartfelt thank you for watching. Take care and see you soon. Your OLLI. Hey, Stefan.
Na?
I'd say this edge here, it's got a certain vibe, right? They're right in front of me. They're made of carbon or something like that. That'd be cool, right? But like a coffee cup that's always tilted
Schon
because it
ein bisschen
slopes up
schwierig.
here.
Ich
Got
weiß
this
nicht.
pack of fries here, neatly packed. And you can see here we've washed it fresh for the video. The dirt, it kind of stays stuck here a little bit. So that's a bit of extra work. Absolutely, yeah.